Hi, hello, and welcome to the CTJS conference. I really thank the organizers and everyone for giving me an opportunity to speak at the conference. I believe this is the first instance of CTJS conference happening in India, and I hope to see more events happening in India in different parts and for the JavaScript community. Now, that being said, let us quickly get into the session today. So today we'll be talking about how to build a search app using Tailwind CSS, NextJS, and then Elasticsearch. So the entire presentation would be only demo, and there wouldn't be anything specifically like a slideshow or something. You could get everything from this GitHub repo that I'll share you as a link, and then also the blog post where we talk about I wrote everything about the specific talk in the text format so that you could go and take a look at it. So before getting started, let us quickly create a Elasticsearch deployment on the Elastic Cloud so that, like, you could help create this search app using Next.js and Tailwind CSS. So basically, uh, you should have an account to create Elastic Cloud, Elasticsearch deployment on Elastic Cloud. So what you could do is, like, just go to cloud.elastic.co and create an account. You could alternatively, if you don't want to get it on cloud, you could go to elastic.co/downloads and download Elasticsearch directly, and then start running the Elasticsearch on your machine as such. But nevertheless, I would always recommend you to start with cloud, because most of the technologies are cloud native now. Even the app that we develop can be deployed on the Vercel, the Next.js platform. So here, let me create a deployment instance, and then let us choose something that is nearer to our place, and the latest is 8.0 Elasticsearch, and then you could create a deployment. uh, I just want to give a heads up that, if you are doing a trial here, you don't need to worry about the costing, because it will come with 30 days of free trial, so you don't need to worry about putting a credit card or something. So just copy this username and password, or else we would create another one. Don't worry about it. So it will take some 3 to 5 minutes to see this deployment come live. Meanwhile, we'll go ahead and git clone the app and prepare our platform, so that by the time we come back, and we'll give you more details about how do you get started with this UI, etc. Now this is the backend of your app. So Elasticsearch is a data store through which is a search engine, essentially NoSQL data store, which works like a search engine, and it is a host for a lot of different sort of use cases, namely observability, I mean monitoring, application traces. That's an entire DevOps related area, and then you also have security, which is upcoming, and a lot of use cases are there. And then obviously today we are talking about search. So let us quickly clone this specific Git repo. So I have the the command console here, and then we'll simply git clone. Okay, it's already there, and then I'll just git clone into this particular place. CD Next.js Tailwind search, and then it automatically gets started with one initial. So, but let us not use everything here, because I use VS Code for most of the things. And let us quickly go to the VS Code and open the VS Code, and then, like, to do everything from there, so that I could walk you through the code, as well as I could simply show you what's in there. So let us simply go to the code, and it'll open us the entire thing here. Great. So basically here, I have cloned the same GitHub repo, and it initiated with one initial branch, which is the default branch for that specific repo. Then I have index.js, app.js, and some SVGs which are important for our index.js page. And then I have a package.json where I'm mentioning what are the scripts to be triggered when I say npm run, npm run dev, etc. And then the dependencies that are there, and then I have some Tailwind related information. So I am just using JIT method of Tailwind, wherein I just compile and then the results are shown automatically. If you are confused, or if you are seeing that this is a bit fast paced, you could always go to this step by step procedure of this blog and then go look at what I'm really talking about. So I'm just building a web application with these three different components, and using this Elastic Cloud, etc. So I also have given detailed information about what is Tailwind, what I'm trying to do here, etc. Because it would be difficult for us to walk through each one of these framework specificalities, like say SWR of Next.js, or utility classes concepts of Tailwind CSS, or JIT compilation mode of the Tailwind CSS. All of them are very interesting to know, and you could go deep and learn more about it, but I'm not really discussing more deeply into that, but I'll explain you a bit so that you could get started without really worrying about all of these really. So the entire code is already in GitHub. It's in working progress. It's completely working code, so that you could simply clone it, and you could go to the last step also and build that. So now that we have all of this present, let me also show you Postgres. It's empty right now, and also Tailwind config, and there's nothing much that we are doing here. So let us quickly open a terminal console, and we will simply get started with npm install, so that it installs all the necessary packages and stuff, modules that is needed for the app to get started. So npm run dev will start the app on 0000, I mean 3000 port. So let us quickly open localhost 3000. So you should see a simple Next.js app saying welcome to Next.js with Elasticsearch. So this I have made it with a hover on Tailwind. It's very simple CSS trick that you could do. There is a utility class for that in Tailwind CSS that you could do, and says for search multiple links. If I click on this link, there is an error that pops up because we don't have that right away coded in our app. It's a page, and we are gonna do it in the upcoming branches, in the upcoming sessions. So and there are multiple links, and also as I showed you, two SVGs, Elastic and Vercel, are two SVGs that are there. Now let us also quickly go through the index.js. So app.js is an backbone, or the encompassing layout, but then index.js is the place where you write all this JavaScript code. I have a function with home, and which has basically all these things coded into. I don't have anything extra specifically. It's simple, plain, and it has few links. Like say, if I click on learn more, it will go to there. If I click on this, it goes to elastic.co. If I want to click on learn, it goes to the JavaScript API of Node.js client of Elasticsearch, etc. So that's it. Nothing crazy here. So now that we have basic setup, let us quickly go to the next branch, and see what that has to offer for us. So I have the initial branch checked out by default, but I'll now go to the to connect ES, which is we are connecting the Elasticsearch area. So let me quickly show you what's there, what's specially added here. So we have the env.local.example file, where we need to give the ESS cloud ID, username, and password. Now what are these? These are the things that we have created in the first place. Like we have the deployment and deployment credentials. Let me quickly copy that and say Elastic. So you always have various different sorts of authentication methodologies. So you don't need to just go with this. I'm just using it for the demo. Also make sure that when you're giving passwords on any place, make sure it is a secure, or make sure that you have proper access methodologies, so that your environment is secure. Now this particular deployment is created, and we are being taken to Kibana, which is the UI for Elasticsearch, which is the UI layer on top of Elasticsearch. But then what we need is Elastic Cloud ID, the deployment identifier that we have created. So if you click on this three bar and say manage my deployment, it will take you to that particular place. And there's one big long base64 string, which is called Cloud ID, and click on that. And then I could give this Cloud ID and save this. Now this is an example file. We need to have it as a local file, so that when I restart the process, or when I say npm run dev, the credentials will be picked up, and the library will be booted up. So now let me show you what I'm exactly talking about here. Say, as I showed you previously, there is a there is more information now, like we want to check whether we are connected to Elasticsearch or not, etc., to index sample data and to create the search experience. So I have created a API class, simple API class, where it will use the Elasticsearch library that we are importing right now. Say connect to Elasticsearch. If you see that I'm importing Elasticsearch library, and then I'm just pulling up those environment from variables, and then I'm just trying to kind of invoke a simple function which says like what is the server info from that particular Elasticsearch instance that we are connecting. So let me quickly do an npm install. Remember, we are importing Elasticsearch library from this particular JS place, and then I think we need to definitely kind of like do an npm install so that the library module and everything is pulled up. So let me simply do npm run dev, and then you will see the environment. And now let us refresh this page. You see everything is as simple as it is. Now let us say API hello, and it should return us the instance details, cluster name, everything that we have created. As you see that we are saying all of this information clearly. So if you're not able to see this, this is how you could take a look at that. Great. So let me quickly go back to, now that we have connected to the Elasticsearch instance and everything, the next step is to obviously create a UI around it, ingest some sample data, and create a search UI. So there are again, what we are exactly using is simply nothing but the JavaScript API that is provided from the Node.js, I mean the JavaScript client that we have. So you could have all of these API reference configuration, how to connect to this particular the library as well, and in different authentication options. I'm using the username and password. You could use a private key or a different other or a token kind of a system. You could also go and take a look at say there is an 8.0, so always remember that you choose the right the version. And then you also have an API reference through which you will be able to find out different APIs, like how to delete, how to say, for example, if I want to do cat aliases or cat indices, so find out what are the various indexes available in Elasticsearch. You could call this API, and then there are different documentation options that are already available. Now, while this is there, let us quickly move to the next branch and see how do we create different page, like in the ingest to ingest the data, and then also search page. So again, coming back to connect CS, let us stop this process. I hope you are able to see this. If not, I'm just increasing the font size. uh, so let me close this. So I have some new additions to the files. I've removed some things so that you are able to take a look at that. So now you have 3 pages, and then again run an npm install so that we install all the necessary information again, modules, etc. So here there is one specific difference. I have added an ingest data API using the same library that we have in the lib, the same connection function. And then here also we are trying to read from a specific file called movies.json, which is our data set. And then through that data set we are ingesting data into a specific index name, using the API. And then, like later we will create a search UI, and through which you will fire a search query to create the search app. So now we have this library, and then you have movies.json, and you see all these movies. I have a bunch of movies, like from different English movies from taken from IMDb dataset. And then I have similar sort of a package JSON which has the specific functions that are needed, dependencies that are needed. I've just done npm install to catch all of that. And then obviously I have a page ingest.js, and then I'm just calling the data, that API, and just showing the relevant information based on the request, etc. So now that I have 3 pages, I'll just go npm run dev again to run the app. Remember, I'm always using the run dev. If you want to create a production build, you need to you need to do different, you need to generate the build differently, and thereby you are not enabling all the dev related flags actually. So npm run dev, let us click on that and then see what's up, whether it successfully compiles or whether you have everything or not. So let us refresh the page and then click on ingest data. As you could see, you are already connected to Elastic Cloud, and hit the below hit it says hit below button to ingest sample data. Let me quickly show you the Kibana, and then so that you could figure out whether what sort of indices are already available and how we can differentiate, how we can start ingesting data into it. So click command dev tools, and I'm just searching for a API console where I could execute commands and show you things what's happening in the Elasticsearch. So always remember, this is the UI, and there is an instance, server-based instance, which is called Elasticsearch, through which the on which the queries are run, and this is a UI for Elasticsearch. So the console lets you execute API queries. So let us say cat indices, and say if I say question mark where both, so that all the headings are displayed. So as you could see, there is only one system index called .dslogs, etc., etc., with a timestamp. We don't have any other indices. I have just shown everything that is there. Now let us quickly ingest our data and see what happens. So I have clicked on ingesting the data. So now the thing is running. See, it says you have ingested 1507 documents. I think it should be like around 5,000, but probably it depends on the API and what is the result that has been given. So let us quickly check how many documents has been ingested. As you see, my index, it says 5,000. Why it says 1507? I believe because I just fired a query and I did not wait for good enough time and just asked what's the count, and then it sent like 1507 has been ingested, but all 5,000 has been ingested and ready for searching. It takes a millisecond, but the API always returns what's exactly ready for the search. So that's why you're seeing the different sort of documents. If I go and click again, it will say 5,000 because it takes a bit of time. That's it. So so now we have 5,000 documents indexed into Elasticsearch, and they are ready for searching, so that you could create a search UI. Now let us come back to the main page, and now you have indexed ingest some sample data, and that is ready for search. Now you have everything going on well. Now let's come back to the again the same place and see what specific code that we have written here. As you could see, it's the same ingestion logic I just showed you previously, and there are different functions that I have modularized so that it's easy for us to compare and show data. That's nothing more than that. So again, ingest data is also available as an API, so you could just simply go and click the ingest data, and that simply still ingests without a UI as well. There is a search.js which says I'm searching based on the query that I have. You could query this with a API console like Postman, but let us put a UI on top of it and then take a look at it. So let us quickly click on the change the branch again to for search UI, uh, and see what's in stock. Oh, I think I split the terminal here. Yeah, great, I got it back. So let us stop this terminal, and then now you have for search UI again. Do run install, because if I have newer dependencies that are added by any chance, I think there's a good chance that it should not be overlooked, and there should not be any errors. Now let us quickly run npm run dev, and then the date it will be compiled and shown. But meanwhile, also take a look at what specifically I have added in the search part, so that you are well acquainted of what code we are really doing it. I have a search page, and then it simply has two specific layouts. One is a search bar, which is common, and when I search, the data goes through a function, and then it fires the query, gets the data, and displays it on a below container. So that's it. That's the specific thing that I have. So as you could see, there's a one big div, there's a head bar, and there is a search bars and search results. When I click on search results, you see that I have another div where I'm just iterating over a list of results that are coming in from an API that I previously showed to you as a code, is a search API. So I'm just forwarding the same thing. So if you want to go and take a look at what API we are specifically firing, you could obviously go to the library and see what specifically what API we are specifically firing. Let me quickly figure it out for you. Yeah. So you could see that I'm trying to connect to Elasticsearch as usually, and I'm trying to search. I try to give a request body, and then set the search results to search results, and then when I simply call this one, I'll be able to see that. So that is the data that we have here, nothing fancy or nothing crazy. Um, throughout the session, I am not talking about mostly about Tailwind and what are the components that I have used. I'll come to that in a minute, but let us quickly see the output and result, how it really looks like, so that you get to understand what I'm really speaking about. Now refresh the app. Even if you click on search, if there is a page, it will simply shows up, but then click on search, and then as you could see, you will be greeted with a search bar with simple nothing, and then you have two specific different color schemes, which gray on top and white below. Let us quickly click on my favorite keyword, iron, and see what comes up for that in the data set that we have ingested. Remember, we have ingested 5,000 documents, again using the API. As you could see, you have different top types of data. Then I say like any name like John maybe, or if I say because the conference is happening in India, so let us say India. No, the data set doesn't have anything specific like Java. It's not a technical data set, but then I just tried it out. Or we could say Tom Cruise. I'm not sure if there is any data related to that. Oh yeah, there's some information regarding to it. So you could search all sorts of information and see what's available, and by a simple, easy app, and we did it in like last 30 minutes or so, and I believe that you'll be able to create such experiences so easily. Now coming back to the code, I haven't talked much about Tailwind config and post CSS config, because it's mostly same throughout the different branches. After three, four, I mean, after the third branch, there is nothing really specific. Let me quickly explain what is there in the Tailwind and how I'm trying to do things here. So Tailwind is a utility CSS based framework wherein you don't need to write CSS at all, or you can just give the class names based on a specific semantics and structure, and then it simply follows that color scheme and simply allows you to generate that CSS, massive CSS file. Now even here we are not even generating that file, because in the Tailwind 2.0 they have a specific way called just-in-time compilation. Because we are running in a dev mode, it will allow you to do that. If you are running a production build, you need to run a production next build, and then it will generate a CSS file according to your whatever the classes that you are used, and then it will generate a beautiful CSS file, compressed, minified, everything, and then you'll be able to deploy it into the production side. It will also remove, it will not insert all the CSS files that are in the framework Tailwind CSS. It will only insert whatever you have used. So that is the speciality of this framework. I'm sorry, maybe some of the versions are old here, a few months back, and probably you could upgrade it whenever you're trying to build this app, or even contribute to my repository. All sorts of contributions or new features are welcome. There is still a bit of things that you could do with all of this. Now coming back to the Tailwind config CSS, if you go to the index.js, and I have columns like flex call, item center, etc. So you might see many utility Tailwind CSS frameworks which does this more or less. But then Tailwind helps you to do more things like text blue 450, and you can specifically add your own coloring schemes, branding schemes, and still works. And you could throughout the project you could create such things, and you could mention, like, say, extend a specific color, and say when I say 450, and then this is the hex one I want to do. Or you could have your own custom color point, and you can say poppy, and if I search for poppy, and then I have a specific sort of color that I have used for the button that you see whenever I clicked on ingest. So that is BG Poppy, and then like you will see that. So all of these are interesting things to me, and it makes it easy for non-UI devs, but someone who has a bit of JavaScript experience but couldn't create a lot of wonderful UI experiences easy. So the developers will, I believe, will enjoy doing that. Now, another thing that I did is a post CS process here that I have added, wherein I kind of like the post CS plugin will take a look at all the CSS and create a better outlook. So in the package.json also post CSS version is mentioned. So you could take a look at that. When you're generating a production build, post CSS will come in really handy. So this is about how do you create a search based app, and search on top of it. I have still a lot many things not configured, like when I click on this particular search bar, when I click on enter, it doesn't automatically search, or I don't have a detailed view for this each one of this page. I have a poster, I could display that here. So more things like that can be beautiful and make this much better. That brings us the end of the session, and I'll share this link with you. If you have any suggestions or if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the question box below, and I'm happy to answer. And I am mostly there on my Twitter. If you want to talk to me or ask me a question, I'm happy to help you. I'm available as Aravind Putrevu. I also run a small newsletter called Dev Shorts weekly, and I believe that you will enjoy this conference and have a great time. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, don't do feel free to reach me out. Thank you.